So my phone's in my back pocket because since it's been on silent literally for almost 14 years, the second my firstborn was born, I put my phone on silent because I just didn't want him to be raised from infancy with dings and whistles and buzzes and just a bunch of artificial sounds in the background, and then watch me run to grab the thing with the light to look and see, why is it dinging and ringing? This is what you do, son. This is what you do when you hear a little ding. You run and you pick this little device up. I didn't want that for my child. So my phone has literally been on silent for 14 years and almost 14 years. And that's gotten me into trouble a few times with my husband and with my mom. So I do walk around with it in the back of my back pocket. And also I just made plans with people, so I need to go write down those plans on the calendar. And I got a few more texts from those people that we have made plans with for the week, so I needed to respond to that. But now I'm officially in the kitchen, gonna write our plans down, make sure that the friends that are messaging me about our plans this week don't need any answers to anything. And if we are good, then I am putting my phone down until after breakfast and Bible time, while I'm cleaning up the kitchen, when the children leave the kitchen to go get their beds made, themselves ready for the day, and prepare for school. During that time, I'll be cleaning, and at that time, I will be either listening to more messages or check and see if anything interesting came on YouTube for me to listen to as I work. So I wanted to exhort you guys, and I also know that I'm probably going to be scattery talking about all this, but first thing, I have wanted to make this video covering this topic for many, many years. And the reason is because I cannot tell you how many people I have talked to who feel like the phone is an issue in their marriage. And you know, it came out, the iPhone came out in 05. That's the year I got married. I didn't start to see the effects of it in my personal family and marriage until a few years after. I don't know for sure, but I do remember it becoming an issue and feeling, me in particular, feeling unloved, not a priority. And I'm sure many people can identify with this, both men and women. I don't think it's always the husbands. I think very often it's the women too, addicted to the phone. And it could be social media that really gets a big grip on some people. The phone is not sinful, but like, you know, everything, the enemy is going to try to use it for evil. And I do think that the family is always under attack by the enemy. I don't think there's anything new under the sun. I think that Satan just has a lot more tools to work with. His tactics are the same. If you're familiar at all with C.S. Lewis' Screwtape Letters, it is a fantastic book. It was written in the 30s, maybe 40s. And basically he writes from the perspective of two demons, uncle and nephew, corresponding through letters. The uncle demon giving the nephew demon advice on how to draw his person, his human that he's been assigned, away from God. And one of the tactics is to keep them distracted, to keep noise around them all the time, to keep them in a constant noisy place. If it's not the radio, it's something falling. There's always some distraction. How is that any different than his tactics today? He just has a lot more tools to work with. And I feel like in many cases, we just are putty in the enemy's hands. We don't live a guarded life. We just walk right into his traps and his schemes. Even this morning, I was reading in 2 Corinthians, it's in chapter 2, verse 11, so that no advantage would be taken of us by Satan, for we are not ignorant of his schemes. We have got to be wiser, more discerning, more on guard of the enemy's schemes. Yes, the iPhone is not sinful, but the iPhone is used for tons of sin, like pornography or comparing yourself, being discontent with social media, wasted hours of life, idle time, giving yourself over to just so much wrong thinking, arguing, conflict, busybody, gossiping. All of that is sin. It is a stronghold in your life. It is something that becomes an idol, something that's mastering you, something that you can't get out of your bed without touching first, something that you can't be in the other room without thinking about. I wonder if my phone, there is a stronghold in your heart if that's how you feel with phones. If you can't hear your phone buzz without running to check it, there's a problem. It is your master. It buzzes, you move. I am so adamant about not letting that happen to me. If my phone if my phone buzzes and it's right next to me, I will totally ignore it and continue doing what I'm doing. If I'm talking to someone, my eyes will stay fixed on that person. I'm not gonna look away because my phone buzzed and check who it is and what it is. No, I'm sorry, but no, the person in front of me takes priority. And if I'm with my children, or eating dinner, or having a conversation with my children, or doing something with my children, I will not stop and check the phone. I won't check the phone while they're talking to me. It's not important. And this is not by accident. This is very intentional. And that's the thing. If we just let things run their course, we're gonna fall into picking it up every time it buzzes. You have to be mindful about it. You have to be fighting the temptation and be intentional about it. That's the only way to defeat it. So I would say, only you know the stronghold that your phone has in your life, but to really sit back and think, in the long term, how is this going to affect me, my family, and my children? I think we are training our children by the way we live our life. They're watching us. We can say anything we want. What we do is what's going to stick. So you can tell your kids all day, don't be addicted to your phone. And if you are, they're probably going to be. If you model for them that weeknights are used for, scrolling through Facebook, then that's what they're going to do when they're men and women and have families. And there will always be a neglected person in the home because the phone wins. The phone, the social media, the text messages, the emails, the not knowing what to do with your hands, so you have to hold the phone, that will always win. Ask yourself, how addicted am I to my phone? Can I go a whole day without it? Can I go a few hours without it? Do I run every time it beeps? Do I have to be on social media? Do I care if I got a like or a comment on something? How often do you check for things like that? And do I look forward to free time so that I can be with my family? Or do I look forward to free time so I can sit back and be entertained by a little screen? There's nothing wrong with enjoying some social media things. Obviously, I use YouTube. I listen to YouTube. I listen to things that I'm interested in, mostly educational, because I really like to learn new stuff, not necessarily mindless entertainment. But we all have our interests, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it becomes a problem when we can't live without it, and when we're using our time more for that than to actually go and do our interests. If I'm gardening, sure, I may watch a few videos about gardening because I'm gonna go garden. If I'm trying to hatch eggs naturally, I'm going to watch a few videos about that, and then I'm gonna go do it. I'm not just gonna watch videos all day about whatever. And I don't let myself get sucked in ever to reels. Is that what they're called? Reels, the
the little shorts. I don't watch those ever. I'm not exaggerating, ever. Because then another one pops up, right? And it just keeps going and going. I'm not gonna devote my time to that. I'm sorry. That is not what's going to have the privilege of saying, I took my time, took any of my time. I don't wanna see it. I don't care to see it. Nothing about it is going to edify me, help me, bring me closer to Jesus, do anything for my family. It's just literally a waste of time. And sure, I'm sure there's funny ones that if you showed me, I'd laugh or I would enjoy or maybe even learn something from. That's not the point. That is how the enemy gets in. But at least it's this, at least it's that. Any justification to not have to give it up is what the enemy uses. And then you're ensnared. Of course, there's always going to be some sort of a positive thing. If that's all you focus on, you're just putty in his hands. You are going to waste time. You're going to be idle. You're going to spend hours of life wasted on a screen, just you and the little screen by yourself, while the people that love you are neglected and needy. And there's a problem. There's a big problem. I think warrior speech really just pumps me up. I feel like Paul, one of his spiritual gifts for sure were exhortation. Because dude, he exhorts me. All of his warrior talk, like we are like soldiers and we need to discipline our bodies, keep the faith, have a good conscience, have a pure heart before the Lord. There's a section here I wanted to read. Don't pursue, the things of the world, but instead pursue godliness, right? And Peter talks a lot about being sober-minded. That makes my spirit leap as well. Like, we want to be serious about the things of God. We want to be serious about the things that are important, like our family, how we use our time. The idleness is the devil's playground, they say, right? I guarantee you, I don't care what you say, you come across some junk on the phone. You do, whether you're looking for it or not. Cool. The enemy's checking to see if you'll take the door. Why not check? If you're there, he's got you there. Why not check and see if you're going to go through? And I'm sure some of you have. So why put yourself in his hands? Why put yourself in the situation where you can fall when you can instead avoid it altogether, use your time well for the Lord, and to invest in humans that are around you and be so much more blessed and fulfilled. The phone might be what your flesh wants, but I guarantee you it's not what your soul wants. Or needs, for that matter. What we need is Jesus. Time with Jesus. Time alone in the stillness and the quiet with Jesus. That's what we need. When you go on a walk, do you take your phone? When you have quiet time with the Lord, reading and praying, do you have your phone? Ask yourself, why? Why do I have my phone with me when I'm spending time with God? So that it can be interrupted, for sure. So I can be tempted to pick it up and not spend time with God. So I can be distracted. I don't see how we're going to hear from the Holy Spirit and encounter God in a profound, powerful, amazing way if we can't let go of our little thing that we just can't let go of. I don't see how the Spirit's going to work and move if we cannot let go of something. Let go of the thing. It is a device. It is dead. It offers you nothing but distraction and idleness and possibly the gateway to all sorts of evil and sin. So just minimize or cut totally your time from it. So where am I? I'm trying to find this verse in 1 Timothy. Discipline yourself for the purpose of godliness. That's why we're disciplining ourselves. Okay, so pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, perseverance, and gentleness. Do those things. Does spending your time on your phone help you pursue those things? Real question. So this is super powerful to me. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 4. No soldier in active service entangles himself in the affairs of everyday life so that he may please the one who enlisted him as a soldier. So who enlisted us as a soldier? The Lord. And so we want to please him, right? Are we going to let ourselves be entangled in the affairs of everyday life, just sitting, wasting our time, being fruitless Christians, really, wasting our time on our phone? yes, phones have a purpose. They have a need. Use them for that purpose and then put them away. We have to fight all day, every day against the enemy's tactics. And then of course, there's so much that Paul talks about, your armor and walking in the spirit, not in the flesh. I think the phone is all flesh. There is nothing that your soul needs desperately and gains from the phone. I think it is all flesh. It is all worldly. That doesn't mean it's sinful. That means, of course, we have worldly affairs. We have to call people, text people, answer people, check our email, which I don't do. Like, it's ridiculous. And some of you might be really annoyed at me, and that's fine. But I just don't. First of all, there is nobody that I get emails from that I need to get emails from. If I did, if I had a job that required me to check my email, then I would. But I don't, so I don't. But I have thousands. I have over 61,000 emails just sitting there in my inbox. And I don't say that because I'm proud of it. I'm just letting you know how little I let my phone distract me. I know I have voicemails. I have 98 voicemails that I haven't heard, mostly from scam numbers, all from scam numbers. There's like no people's names here at all. So 98 voicemails that I've never heard or deleted either, I guess. I'll delete them eventually. And I have lots of missed calls from scammers. The phones, the people that call me that I know, of course I answer it. My text messages, I look at them. And so, you know, obviously this is how I've managed the phone use in my life. That doesn't mean it's the right way. Obviously I have a different life than a lot of people. I stay at home, I homeschool, my priorities are right here in front of me. Of course I carry my phone around. If Hector calls me, I can call him, answer the phone, but I'm not sitting around looking at my social media all day. Number one, I care too much about real life to waste away in front of a screen. Number two, I don't want to be a horrible example to my children on how to not live their life. And number three, I care about the relationships that I have with my children and investing in that. And my ministry, my number one ministry being that, I need to be fully present to make that worthwhile, to make that in any way impactful for my children. We are impacting our children, whatever we're doing. So if our choice is to, you know, be on the phone all day, we're impacting our children with that. Either they will feel neglected and bitter one day, disappointed that you didn't show more care and concern for them, or they'll just do the same thing that you modeled for them, or something else, you know, like it's just the way it is. One thing that we all know already, which should be the reason that we don't give into this, it makes me so frustrated. These were deliberately designed to addict us. They were deliberately designed to addict us. And we should say, oh, really? Well, tough, not gonna work. That should be our response. But instead we're like, okay. And we just fall into it. That makes me so mad. Social media, deliberately designed to addict you. Deliberately. Not accidentally, they discovered it later. They did it on purpose. They know the human psyche and they designed it in order to addict you. And out of this horrible world of social media has come more depression and suicide among teens, more eating disorders and anxiety among teens than there's ever been. There's red flags everywhere, you guys, but we just still do it. We just still do it. There's no emotional intimacy in some marriages because of phone addiction. People don't talk to each other. A man cannot take his wife out on a date without checking his phone. No longer does a man sit in the car waiting and then watching his beautiful wife come out dressed up for their date together. Instead, he's looking down till she gets in the car. You know, no longer do people lay in bed together and just stare at the ceiling and talk. Instead, they're staring at their phone. There is a problem, and if you think it's small, then you're living in a cloud, because it's not. And this is why it is a big deal. You think that I sound dramatic, maybe you agree with me. You think that maybe I'm making too big of a deal of this. I am a big picture person. I can't just think right now, yeah, sure, right this second, it doesn't matter at all if I do this right now and spend 5 minutes on the phone. Sure, I'll give you that. If I do that all day, every day for the next 10 years, there's going to be a problem in 10 years and in 15 years and in 20 years. There's going to be a problem because I am emotionally detached from the humans in front of me. I guarantee you relationships will be way less profound and developed than they could or should be if there was no distraction in your face all the time. You would have more memories because you would be present, taking in the beautiful, wonderful things that are all around you all the time. You would see more. You would have more reflective time where you stop and you think. You would have more time, undisturbed time between you and the Lord. You would have more stillness and quiet. You would have more creativity possibilities because you wouldn't be distracted, giving yourself over constantly to something that doesn't care about you at all. In fact, it's going to ruin us. It's ruining us already. And that's why it's such a big deal. Look at what it's going to do to families. Look what it's already doing to families. We're the first generation of families to see what's going to happen. What's going to happen in marriages in the next 10 years that have been married, 20-ish years. I've been married 18 years. The iPhone came out 18 years ago. What's going to happen to marriages in 10 years? Most families at my age have like preteens and the kids are growing up. What's going to happen to marriages in 10 years? Is the divorce rate going to go even worse? Probably. What's going to happen to parents and children? Do they have relationships? Do they, are children going to grow up and be phone addicts? And don't be naive. There's other stuff coming, and all that other stuff will also be used for evil by the enemy. It will. Don't be naive. You have to be wise, discerning, ready for the fight, ready for the battle. You don't just say, oh, I didn't realize, and get sucked into something, and then 15 years later look back at how it ruined relationships in your life. And in many cases, ruined people. Because like I said, this is a gateway for all sorts of other evil and sin. Not only are you neglecting people in your life, really, really causing relationships to suffer and not be anywhere near what they should be, but you are ruining yourself. So there's so much at risk here. It is not a small thing. And people don't talk about it because I think they feel like because it is a very vulnerable thing to say, can you please get off your phone and pay attention to me? That is vulnerable. That is very needy by definition, by factual definition. Yeah, it is needy. Isn't it good that your spouse needs you? I mean, what would you want them to say? Hey, I don't care that you're on your phone and you never talk to me. Just keep doing it. Like, think about how stupid the alternative is. If you are bothered when your spouse says, I really wish you were not on your phone so much. You're missing our children growing up. You're not here. You're here and you're not with us. And you got your own little life and your own little world and your own little screen. And I need you to look at me when I talk to you. I need to feel loved by you. I need to feel like you care about me, what's on my mind, what's on my heart. I need that. Do you not want your spouse to tell you that? Is that a problem? Are you bothered at that? If you are, then you are angry that something that you don't want to let go is being addressed. That's the reality. And if you're on the other end, if you feel that way, do you feel scared to say it? Do you feel scared to pour your heart out and express your need to your spouse? And I guarantee you it's probably because you feel like you're being dramatic. You feel like you're being weak and needy. No, we were designed to need each other. We were designed to be intimate relationally. We're designed by God for that. That's what He wants. And this thing has come and driven a wedge in marriage. It has driven a wedge in families. It has driven a wedge in what should be beautiful bonding times. People cannot go on a walk without their phone. Let's go on a family walk and we'll turn on some music in the background. No, let's hear the birds. Let's go out to dinner and there's TVs everywhere. So you go out to dinner and everyone's like this or like this. It is awful, 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 awful. I don't even like going out to dinner anymore because the TVs ruin it. I don't want to go pay people to cook me mediocre food, take forever to serve us, and then have my children staring at the TV the whole time. What bonding time. It's so special. You know, it's everywhere and it's not going to go away. It's only going to get worse. So if you don't gear up, you're just going to fall prey to it. If you don't prepare yourself and start fighting now, you're just going to fall prey to it because your flesh is going to drift towards it. It's all designed to entice you. And if you don't say, I'm choosing my spirit and my soul and my brain and people before my flesh, then you're going to fall into the trap, just like the majority of people have done. And it's a shame. So there's so much. I know for a fact there's people that feel silly bringing it up to their spouse, or their spouse gets angry and attitudey with them and it becomes a conflict, and their spouse is annoyed at them because they feel like they're trying to be controlled, instead of say, oh my goodness, I'm so glad my spouse wants and needs me. Instead, you get bothered. They may be so like rejected and closed off that they just become super independent and kind of like separate from you and do their own thing. You do your thing, I do my thing. And the longer you do that, the more you grow apart, and divorce is around the corner. You know, like, open your eyes, think long term. That's the plan of the enemy right there. Please, I need you, I need you. No, I'm mad at you. But, no, I'm mad at you. Stop, you're bothering me. Okay, fine, I'll be quiet. And then you can either get super sad or super bitter, or get really independent and separate the family, separate the couples. And then you have children who need their parents, but every time they come to talk to them, they're looking down at their phone. And it's like, never mind. It's never a good time. I can't come and open up to you because you're just not available. You're just not available. And this is the thing about important moments in life. People don't just walk up to you and say, hey, I really, really need to talk to you right now. My heart is aching and I need advice or counsel. Like that's not what children do. Children linger, they hang out with you, they're waiting to see, is there an opportune moment? And then they just start talking, and before you know it, you're like hearing their hearts and their minds, and they're sharing everything with you, and you're like, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus. So if you're never available because you're always on your phone, your kids are not gonna open up to you. They are not gonna come looking for you, needing you. You need to be available mentally and physically. If you're not, your children are not going to come to you. They're not going to open up to you. So you are risking not having a tight, close bond, counselor relationship with your child. And when they get older, preteens and stuff, that's when they'll make up their mind, I guess I can't talk to them. And they won't. They'll go to somebody else, or the phone, their internet. Who knows? And you know the counsel on the internet's garbage. So you want to be the one to counsel your children. It is not a small thing, you guys. The enemy is having a heyday, and families, I guarantee you, are going to be falling apart left and right in the next decade or so, all because of the magical iPhone that came in and destroyed intimacy in the home. We are fools. We have fallen for it, and we can't be fools. We have to know that the enemy is still here. And he still uses the same schemes and the same tactics, and they're going to be packaged a different way based on the new technology and the new things in our world. But it's all still there, and we can't be naive and fall prey to it. We have to show our children how to be discerning, how to be able to see things before they happen, how to be able to predict something evil before it happens. You don't want to be in. That's what Jesus says. Pay attention to yourselves, because you can avoid situations like that. If you're just like, what? And not thinking and not being discerning and not being prudent, you're going to find yourself in a mess. We will all fall prey to it if we aren't discerning and intentional and paying attention. So wake up, wake up, wake up. Your marriages are suffering. They're going down the drain. There's no emotional intimacy. One of you feels neglected and not priority. The phone is everything. if you're the phone person, you justify it. You're making up excuses. You're addicted and you don't know how to master yourself to say this little square piece of nothing is not going to rule me. Nothing will master me. Nothing. Only the Lord will master me. Today I read, we are controlled by the love of God. That's what should master us. This is another reason I use my phone. Everything is permissible, but not everything's beneficial. Bible verse. So 1 Corinthians 10:23, all things are lawful, but not all things are profitable. All things are lawful, but not all things edify. Okay, so yep, phones are allowed. Sure, they're allowed. Are they good for you? No, they are not. They are not good for you. They are harmful, actually, especially if you don't know how to use it the proper way. It's here for phone calls, hello, answering phone calls, making phone calls, text messaging people. I mean, I check my weather on here. I take notes sometimes on here. I order things on here. I pay people through PayPal on here. And I talk through Voxer on here with my friends. And I listen to YouTube videos when it's time for that. And that's pretty much it. And of course, some of you work, so you have emails, a lot more messaging to go back and forth, which I would exhort you then to only use your phone for work. That's what I would exhort you. If you're on your phone a lot for work, then only use your phone for work. Don't have apps for what? Don't have social media. You already socialize enough at work through your emails and your text messages. Socialize with your coworkers and then put your phone down and socialize with your family. You don't need social media. You don't need it. There is nothing beneficial spiritually about it for you. You've already been like this long enough for emails and text messages and phone calls. And so then when you finally don't have to because you're not working, put it down, leave it in your room and go be with your family. And don't let this win. Don't let this win for your time with your precious family, especially if you have little children. They're gonna grow up and they're gonna be gone. It's gonna be you by yourself thinking, how did I use my time? How did I use my time? That's the other fear that I have. Genuine heartbreak. Not just, oh, I'm so worried. I am heartbroken for the people that I know for a fact are gonna look back on their life and regret all the time they wasted on their phone instead of building relationships with their family. I mean, if the number one regret that people have on their deathbed before iPhones existed is they didn't spend enough time with their family, can you imagine the gravity of that regret in this next generation? It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart because that regret, what a heavy, heavy, horrible regret to live with. Fix it now. Stop now so you don't have as big of a regret. If you've already been on the phone for 18 years letting it rule your life and the people in your life begging you for your attention and to feel loved and like they're important and like they matter at all, like you think of them at all, put it down now. Listen to them. That cry and that plea comes from a place of love. They love you. That's why they want you. Don't wait till they're silent, because then you're in a scary place. Once they go silent, you're in a very scary place. What are you gonna do then? Go be with your phone. It's okay, right? I'm sorry, that's super rude, but I'm sorry. You gotta listen to the people that you love. And there was one more verse, to not let anything master you. Do not let anything master you, Bible verse. 1 Corinthians 6. You can tell I've been reading through 1st and 2nd Corinthians. All the verses that I'm talking about seem to be in here. So, and he says it again here. All things are lawful for me, but not all things are profitable. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be mastered by anything. This is allowed. There's nothing wrong with this. It is not good for me, and I will not let it master me. I will discipline myself. I will discipline my mind. My mind is going to be dwelling on whatever's pure, whatever's true, whatever's lovely, whatever's excellent, whatever's worthy of praise, noble. Those are the things that my mind will be dwelling on. My mind will be dwelling on truth. My mind will be dwelling on, Lord, how do you want me to use my life to further the kingdom. Lord, help me to use my time well, because the days are short, the days are evil, it says. And then in 1 Corinthians 7, his advice for people to stay single, he says, being the world as it is now, he says, because I think then that this is good in view of the present distress, that it is good for a man to remain as he is. So he's saying, because of the present distress in the world, you should stay single so you can focus on the kingdom of God. I'm like, because of the present distress in the phone addiction, we should get rid of them. We should take back our life and our time and start doing amazing things together again and being more creative and using our time in a way that honors God and furthers the kingdom, not wasting away, shriveling away in front of a pointless, useless, valueless, lifeless screen. It is so sad, you guys. It's so sad. And not only that, our minds are being conformed to whatever we're looking at and reading instead of this. Let our minds be conformed to the things of God. Don't give yourself up so easily, you guys. The enemy is like a roaring lion. He wants to deceive. He is crafty. He wants to destroy you. He wants to devour you. The fight is for our souls, and this is not good for your soul. On the contrary, it's bad for your soul, and that's just at the basic level. There's so much worse stuff that can come out of this. I'm not even talking about that stuff. I'm simply talking about the object and the need to have it and hold it all the time. There's also social media and pornography and all the other horrendous things out there that I don't even know exist because I'm ignorant of them. But there is so much that you could be doing better with your time, that at the end of your life you will look back and say, thank you, Lord, that I didn't let the phone or anything for that matter master me, but instead I was compelled by my love for you and by my mission on this earth for you. I took the things in front of me that you gave me, my family. I instilled your love in them, and I pray that they will take that to the next generation, and they will do the same to the next generation and the next generation. The Lord has designed it this way. The enemy knows it, so he's working the same thing on the other side. He wants you to take all the bad stuff to the next generation, and them to take the bad stuff to them. It's the same thing. Whose side are you going to be working on? The Lord's. Let's be fruitful. Let's be fruitful. Let's not be fruitless, carried away by the things of the world. Let's be fruitful. Let's be soldiers that we know who enlisted us and what he wants of us. Let's show our love and our devotion with all of our heart, mind, soul, and strength for our Creator, to serve him and to use our life well in gratitude for his life. He gave us his life. He gave his life so that we could have life, abundant life. Are you fulfilled? Do you feel abundant life after you spend 3 hours on the phone? Do you feel encouraged, inspired, motivated? Do you feel like this has changed my life? I want to go and like live for Jesus now after you spend time on this? Or do you feel drained, worn out, useless, lazy, sluggish? I'm sorry. It is a lie from the pit that this is fun and good and useful. It's a lie. The truth is action, moving, using your time well, ministering to your family. Those are the things that make you feel fulfilled and alive and like pressing on to finish the race. This doesn't. What does this offer you? Nothing. Nothing. Only negative. This offers you everything. Everything. Time with the Lord. The capacity to sit still and just be. Just be. Can you do that? If not, there's a problem. Fix it. You can. You can fix it. And I'm here to exhort you to fix it. I'm here to exhort you to change the path that your life is going on, because your family will be affected by it negatively. Your marriage will. Your children will. The next generation will. And you will, if you're not already. There is hope. There's always hope It's never too late to make changes for the better. The Lord can redeem. He is in the business of redeeming and repairing and fixing our messes and helping us. This is not a small topic. As you can see, I'm super passionate about it. I just see the damage of it, and I could say more, but I think you get the gist of it. I have to go finish school with my children. We have math left and history, and I will not be touching my phone for either one of those subjects. My phone will sit on the counter, and by the time that we're done with that, we will have friends arriving, and I will have my phone near me in case my husband calls me or needs me, but I will not be looking at my phone while my friend's talking to me. I'll be visiting with her for a couple of hours, and after she leaves, I will use my phone again to exercise, and then I will put it down until way after dinner. And that's how I try to space out my phone use, because I don't want it to master me. I also don't want to be absent from important moments, and I want to be present, fully present when my children are around. When I worked, I had times that I would check my phone. I would not touch it until 11 in the morning, and I would check all my messages, respond to everything. Then I would leave it alone until 2 o'clock. Then I would respond to everything, leave it alone, and check again at 6:30. Respond to everything, and I wouldn't touch it again until the next day. Of course, depending on the job you have, that may not work, but there are ways. There are ways, and whenever we try to make excuses, the fact is you just don't want to find the way because you're not willing to make a way because you're not willing to get rid of or give up the phone use. That's what the fact is. And it's okay if that makes you annoyed to hear that. Just be honest with yourself. Being honest with yourself is so powerful. It's probably the only way you can truly change anything ever in your life, is when you're honest with yourself. So honestly evaluate your phone usage. Honestly evaluate if you use it more than you need to. And honestly evaluate, what do you want for your future? What do you want for the relationships in your life? Are the relationships in your life suffering because of your phone? Has anybody ever told you anything about how much you use the phone? If so, listen to them. People don't tell you stuff like that unless they love you, want you, need you. Do you want them to love you, want you, need you? If you do, you better listen. And that's what I'll leave you with. May the Lord use you in all the wonderful, amazing giftings He's given you to further the kingdom of Jesus. God bless you guys, and see you next time.
You ready for math, sweetheart? Let's do math. Oh.